Let us pray. Almighty God, we humbly come before you. We ask you to bless this council and all who are engaged in the work of local government. Grant that they may order all things in wisdom, righteousness, and peace, to the honor of your name and the good of your people who dwell in our beautiful city. Amen. Good afternoon, councillors and management and those attending the meeting. I wish to acknowledge and welcome our colleagues from our sister town, Plumtree, from Plumtree Town Council. The chairperson and some of their councillors are here. You are welcome to our deliberations. I also wish to pay special attention to Councillor Bruce Moyo, who has been unjustly detained but thankfully released recently. We are grateful that you are back in our midst, and we wish you well and a full recovery. Colleagues, today I wish in my opening remarks to address the issue of lawlessness, which is affecting the operations of our council. It's very important that I make these remarks, these opening remarks, because they have a broad impact on our operations. We can pass as many resolutions as we like, but if a culture of lawlessness prevails in our city, those resolutions will be undone. And I'm going to leave us with three examples of lawlessness taking place in our city. The first is the unlawful breaking of our breaking into our water distribution network. Since our last meeting, we've had several incidences of individuals and even companies breaking into our water lines using large bowsers to extract water, no doubt for profit, but damaging our infrastructure and, in essence, stealing council property, namely water. As I mentioned in our meeting in the large city hall recently, that has to stop. But there is a limit to what we can do and what our municipal police can do to combat this. And we desperately need the assistance of the Zimbabwe Republic Police as we seek to combat this lawlessness. Those who are found doing this should be arrested and not just fined for breach of our bylaws. They should be charged with theft, and they should be charged with malicious damage to property. And the equipment used for this criminal activity should be seized and held as exhibits in criminal proceedings. Now, we can speak as long as we like, but without the assistance of the Zimbabwe Republic Police, our efforts will be in vain. Our own municipal police, our own officers simply do not have the capacity and the legal rights to effectively ensure that we deal with this lawlessness taking place in our very midst. The next area of lawlessness relates to the proliferation again of vendors and taxis in areas which are not duly authorized. Since the last meeting that we have held, I and other members of the City Council have had a succession of meetings with, for example, the contractors at Egodini, The entire Egodini project is now under threat because of this the proliferation of taxis and vendors who are operating illegally. And once again, there is a limit to what our municipal police can do to maintain law and order. And we desperately need the Zimbabwe Republic Police to actively assist in us so that we restore law and order in our city. Those are just two examples. There are more. We do not have time today. But I use this opportunity when the public have the ability to participate in our proceedings to make that appeal. Make the appeal to all the residents of our city, but a specific appeal to government and to the Zimbabwe Republic Police to assist us as we seek to restore law and order in our city. With those few words, opening words, I ask the town clerk to call us to order.
Thank you, Your Worship, and councillors of the great city of Bulawayo, esteemed stakeholders, and ladies and gentlemen of the media. The legal question being confirmation of minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 7th of August 2024, attached as Annexure A, pages 80Q. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Agenda item number 1, confirmation of the minutes. Can we have a mover to confirm those minutes?
Sign, Your Worship.
Thank you. If I can find my pen. I got a pen. Item 2, report of the future water supplies and water action. Chair.
Thank you. Your Worship, I move that the report of the future water supplies and water action committee meeting held on the 6th of August 2024 is submitted be received and the various recommendations contained then after the applicant.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any debate on that report? Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. On item 1, which talks about the aquifers. On the report, it's said that the Nyamaindo aquifer is giving us about 60 megaliters a day as part of the contribution that the aquifer is giving us in terms of water quantities, with around 221 megaliters a month. And on the same report, it said that this is coming out of about 38 bores which are there. So I just wanted to say that I understand the aquifer has got about 60 bores, and we have got 38 according to this report, which are currently working, giving us about 60 megaliters a day. So I was comparing with the other contributions even coming from the dams. 60 megaliters, if we were to try and maximize and pushing it up to 60 bores, it can actually give us quite a significant amount of water. So I wanted to try and say maybe encourage the committee together with the engineering team to say, is it possible that we can also try and push maybe up to 60 bores so that we can maximize on the amount of water that we are going to get from the aquifer. And also on the same note, I also even wanted to say, if Nyamaindo can actually give us, say, maybe maximum of 20 megaliters a day in water, why can't we also then try to prioritize even other projects, aquifers that we have, I'm quite sure they can even push us maybe up to 60 or 80 megaliters a day if we were to explore, say maybe the one which was also talked about in our last meeting, the permanent aquifer, and also the found in Africa. So that is the contribution of that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. Mine is a follow-up to that one, item 5 on water augmentation. The very last.
Let me just check that there's no one who wants to deal with something before that. You're going to item 5.
Item 5.
Item 1.
Please. I'll come back to you, Councillor.
Because mangikhangela ku-item 1 kukhuluma ngokuthi kule proposal yokuthi seku 144 hour water shedding. Nginanzelela ukuthi khathesi ku 120 hour amanye amalokishi thina siselawo vele amanzi. Kutsho lithi ukuthi vele asesivalelwa kusela amanzi azafika ezindaweni. Or there will be measures ezizenziwa ukuthi sonke sithole amanzi ngesikhathi sona leso. Ngoba thina sikhangela iphumuli kakhulu ayifinyelelwa ngamanzi nge-120. So nxa sesiya ku-144 kutsho ukuthi asisoze sasathola lawo manzi.
Also item 1.
Yes. Thank you, Your Worship. I am deeply and profoundly concerned by this desire to move us from this already grueling 120-hour schedule to a 144-hour schedule. As it is under the 120-hour schedule, we have witnessed a lot of social problems and service delivery concerns. And my question right now and thought is that, was this suggestion or inclination properly thought out? Is this a proverbial admission of defeat where we are throwing in the towel and rolling over to play dead like a possum? Is there no other intervention that we could have come up with? I am sure that at the last presentation, the relevant department assured us that there are a number of interventions that are lined up, interventions which are actually supposed to see us experiencing a turnaround from this current status quo. It is therefore my submission that if we move towards this 144-hour water shedding schedule, we are then saying we have exhausted all cognitive and technical processes, and we are basically saying we are incapable of coming up with any other solutions. It is therefore important, Your Worship, for us as the city to clearly and thoroughly consider all the available options before we then come back to the people and say we are now going to subject them to a worse-off situation. Because right now, Your Worship, I will speak to high-lying areas in my ward like Jungle Trenance and parts of Harrisville. These areas have not received water since December, Your Worship. And if we are talking about this kind of direction, then it means we are condemning the people of those communities, and even more people will be condemned to a similar quagmire. We really need to revisit such strategies and apply ourselves fully. It is my feeling that the department is not applying itself at all. Thank you.
Councillor, you're on item 1.
Item 2.
No. Let's just exhaust item 1 because I want to speak to it. Are there any further contributions on item 1? What I'd like to do is just put in a few of my own remarks regarding item 1. Those of you who attended the meeting, and Town Clerk, you weren't here because you were overseas, we called an emergency meeting in your absence in the large city hall, and the Director for Engineering Services addressed that meeting. And he explained to those present that we are now having to transfer water from Upper Nlema to Lower Nlema 2 months prior to when we expected to. And that illustrates the gravity of the crisis. We all need to understand, I think that we do, that we face a potential catastrophe. We have very low dam levels. We have very high evaporation levels. We've had higher temperatures than we normally have in winter. I spoke to someone who flew over Caesar Dam just last week, and they speak about the fact that they've never seen it so low. And we can't blame the engineering department for that situation. We need to understand as a city, all residents need to understand that we face a catastrophe. When Upper Nlema is decommissioned, which is going to happen soon, Lower Nlema is going to follow. And the problem, as I understand it as a lawyer, not as an engineer, is that we are then reliant on dams that pipe water at deficient volumes. And it's simple engineering, simple physics, that as Caesar drops, because it is a gravity-fed pipeline, so the amount of water being fed into the Nlema system drops as well. And the solution lies, and this is our appeal once again, to government. The Minister of Finance in April promised $14 million. To date, $1.5 million has been dispersed to us. We as a city urgently need the balance of that money paid across to us so that we can, as a matter of urgency, start the rehabilitation of those pipelines from Caesar and from Mchabe's dam to Nlema. Only if we do that are we going to ensure that the city doesn't run out of water. Likewise, we need a cabinet approval on glass block to happen as a matter of urgency. Glass block is not going to sort out our short-term water supplies. But if glass block isn't built, then this situation is going to continue, no matter how good our engineering department is. Related to this, I place on record that I've asked the Director of Engineering as a matter of urgency to request from ZINWA that our engineering department and the two chairs here, the chair of Future Water and the chair of engineering, have an opportunity to visit Gwai-Shangani Dam to see what progress there is taking place in Gwai-Shangani, because we need every possible source of water for the city. That said, councillors, those two councillors who've spoken about the situation prevailing in your areas, I understand that. These high-lying areas, not just in the high-density suburbs, but even in western suburbs, there are areas that get hardly any water because they're in high-lying areas, and because our systems are gravity-fed, they are being deprived of water. All we can do is appeal to engineering to re-look at the engineering to see whether we can allocate bowsers to those areas. But your point is taken, councillors, that this movement to 144 hours is deplorable, but we all need to understand, and the public needs to understand, that it is largely being brought upon us by factors which are beyond our control. I'll go to item 5. Item 2.
Thank you, Your Worship, fellow councillors. I want to speak to item 2, which is talking about water deliveries. Water deliveries along our pipelines, not to our reservoirs, but from our main Makwekwe reservoir into our end users, the domestic end users. There is a very, very disturbing trend, Your Worship, which is happening. And I'm sure most of the residents have seen it. A lot of people are connecting JoJo tanks along the delivery lines, which then has the effect of putting along the supply line what I would call pitfalls or gorges or tunnels, which must then fill up first before water gets to some other residents. Fine, there might be an argument to say that water goes through a meter. But if you are going to have 5,000 JoJo tanks placed along the supply line, it has the effect of slowing down the water restoration. And the danger again is that some people may fail to disinfect those tanks, and in the event of what is called a backflow or a suction from the tank into the main line, water can be contaminated simply because this resident has connected their tank into the main line. I think time has come for council to take a stand on this one, because I have a feeling that this is why we have this outcry for people to say they are not receiving water during water restoration. It's happening at an alarming rate, and many people are not getting water during water restoration. I believe it is because of these tanks, which are not, at least if they could be filling their reservoirs using detachable hoses, which are going to be detached from the main line. But they are actually connecting their pipes. They actually engage plumbers to connect them using fixed pipes. That's my concern, Your Worship.
Any other debate on item 2, 3? Can we go to 3, 4? Can we go to Councillor Nkomo? 5. Sir.
Item 3, which talks about Bowsers, alternative water sources. Then there's about water Bowsers. I just wanted, I'm noting that the council right now has got about 7 Bowsers, and of which only 4 are said to be functional. Your Worship, we are facing serious water challenges, especially the western suburbs. We are facing very, very serious water challenges, and I don't think that this city can run on only 4 Bowsers at this moment in time. I just wanted to kindly ask if maybe we could have more Bowsers if possible, if you can hire more Bowsers to make sure that at least we save our areas and our situation. Now that there's a proposal that we move to 144 hours water shedding. The other councillors have already mentioned that we've got areas which have gone for months now without water. And these areas are relying solely on Bowsers and water kiosks. So I'm kindly asking that if possible the council try to add more Bowsers, if it means hiring, so that at least we can share the little water that we now have in our city through these the deliveries by these Bowsers. That's my contribution on that item. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on the Bowsers? On item 3? Just very briefly to respond to that and to contribute. I recently had a meeting with the chair of audit who raised an issue with me, and it's pertinent to this discussion that, for example, my understanding is that some of our Bowsers are needing repairs, and some of those repairs are relatively cheap. If I'm correct, one of the Bowsers only needs $100 repairs. And so we urge the finance director to particularly address those relatively cheap repairs so that we can get the Bowsers functioning. But it's a valid point. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Nkomo. 4.
Item 4, Your Worship, water conservation strategies. You will recall, Your Worship, that you at one time sent me to liaise with a guy called Mr. Nkana, who we have set up a pilot project at James Court there. Your Worship, I'm so disturbed that this council has given a deaf eye to that guy. But results from that pilot project shows that the CPT, only that flat, that James Court flat, is consuming 8 times the amount of water allocated to it per day. Just imagine, we are talking of James Court only. What about other flats in the city and the CPT? Why list our residents in the high density suburbs in other areas go for weeks and months at times without water, Your Worship? But when I tried to inquire with the management, Your Worship, I was like someone who's trying to dig a grave of some sort. So I'm so disheartened, Your Worship. Even yesterday, the town clerk had to phone me saying, Mr. Secretary.
Councillor, I just need to interject for a moment.
I'm sorry for that, Your Worship.
Councillor,
It's only that I was born.
Councillor, just listen to me for a moment, please. I'd ask you just to respect the decorum of this house and not to personalize.
I'm sorry for that.
Thank you.
Okay, but just to say, yesterday I was phoned by the management asking me, why, Mr. Secretary, are you troubling us? I asked them, you see, the CPT is consuming so much water. Why is our residents in the high density suburbs are going for weeks and months without water? And yet this guy is saying he sent his proposal in 2022, Your Worship. That's my submission, Your Worship.
Before we go to item 5, I'll respond very briefly to that. I have had a discussion, councillors, I've had a discussion with the town clerk regarding this matter. And the town clerk has undertaken that this will be looked into and action. But let me broaden this. In my own family, we often talk about October being suicide month, and we try not to make major decisions in October. We need to understand that we are entering into a tense period now. Not only is the weather going to, is the temperature going to rise, but with water shortages, people's tempers are fraying. People are under enormous strain. I mean this very seriously. And we are going to all have to lead by example as we take the city through this period. And my plea is to councillors, to management, to the town clerk, particularly when it comes to water, we need to act with a sense of urgency, so that we employ all possible methods to mitigate the crisis that we face. Okay. Are you on item
Number 4.
number 4?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Yeah, in times of crisis, Your Worship, we need to understand that we will not be operating normally. The situation is abnormal. And the anger in the house, I hear it. It's very unfortunate, Your Worship, that the 2023 to 2024 rain season isn't been good to us as a city. And the Bible I read says, money answereth everything. Meaning that without money, we can never perform miracles to provide water for the citizens of this great city. When some previous months, Your Worship, we did speak here and lobbied the government to declare this city as a water crisis city. That declaration was not granted, And that has affected us in time, even the previous years. So I would take this as mere sabotage because we point fingers at each other here, or that the government is unwilling to intervene in a crisis because the city is burning. And when the city is burning like this, we are on each other's throat. But the solution lies in money. We have promised 14 million, Your Worship, and I heard you clearly that only 1.5 million was distributed. So there are no miracles we can perform as a city. Government has to be robustly engaged to make sure that they give an ear to the people of this great city. It's a crisis, and the crisis is deepening. The water levels in our dams are declining. Right now, the rate of evaporation, we are in summer now. We are losing a lot of water through evaporation. And now we are moving to the 144. The reason why we are moving to the 144, Your Worship, is that the situation is no longer normal. And when the situation is no longer normal, what is the solution? The solution is money. I want Your Worship and your team, the town clerk, the chairperson of water, the chairperson of engineering, to re-engage and remind our ministers up there to say, and go and tell them, say that the city is burning. Because very soon we are going to have outbreak of diseases. And then government wants to jump in now when there is an outbreak of cholera, and they will then blame us as city fathers that the city is being mismanaged. Yet we need money. Our residents are not paying as we expect because the situation out there is not good. So the cash flows are bad. I remember at one point in time, the previous council had said we are going to ring fence all the money containing water, but it is not enough to take us through in this crisis. So, Your Worship, in your esteemed office, I would kindly advise you, Mayor, to revisit Harare with your team. Now, we were celebrating some previous months saying there's glass block dam. Now we hear that glass block dam is waiting cabinet approval. But the engagements in the previous reports which we were reading in this chamber, Your Worship, they showed notable progresses which were coming to us. Now, what's the hold up? The delay of the glass block. It means that the central government up there, our bosses, they are not taking Bulawayo seriously. So I therefore, maybe they have forgotten, Your Worship. With your team, I know with your team you've got good negotiating skills. Re-engage. Maybe we'll get another 1.5 million. Maybe we can drill more balls. It can go a long way in trying to, because very soon we are going to shift from 144 to maybe to 160. Because it's a crisis. In 1992, in October, I remember very well that the city was only left with water supply enough for 43 days. And there was a program called Radio 2. So the answer lies there. Ourselves, we cannot. Let's go back there. Let's engage the government. Let's engage these three ministers, local government, water and fisheries, the Minister of Finance. Maybe they can pour something in us and it can help us, because the situation is getting bad and the crisis is deepening. Otherwise, we'll bat each other here. It's a crisis. The situation is abnormal, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we move to item 5?
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. I think the last table on item 5 has got something on the Matobo Aquifer and the cost. I wanted to find out in terms of the Matobo Aquifer, and also from the report from the last meeting last week, I believe, about Kulumane, the underground water there. What sort of turnaround time are we looking at for that? I know, of course, money is needed, but what are the, if possible, can you also time frame as well and do projections as well in our reports? But for now, it's what sort of time frame are we looking at because I think by the time we do some of those interventions, maybe it will be the advent of the rainy season. My proposal is let's continue being vigorous in terms of those options and not think because maybe rains have commenced, it's no longer a crisis. So what are the turnaround times for the two? I know for the other one, possibly the feasibility studies have not commenced. But what sort of time projections are we looking at? And how long would it take to, if implemented, to actually begin extracting the water from the two alternative sources?
We're still on item 5.
Yeah. On the same table is the point that the city lost about 46% of its water due to water leaks and base this previous month. And 46% worship, considering that we're in a serious crisis like this, is a serious loss in terms of the precious liquidity that we are all looking for. So I wanted to kindly request that the funds permitting, let's try also to add more funds to the engineering department. Because one thing that we've also that we are actually noticing, especially in our high density suburbs, is that the reason why we've got this percentage is mainly because these water base, even after being reported, they can go for weeks or even months sometimes without being attended to. And if you are to ask the engineers, they will tell you that the main challenge is that they are under-resourced. It's either they don't have enough cars, they don't have enough equipment or material, or even the manpower sometimes to attend to these water base. I want to kindly ask that, if possible, let's try and finance this department. Because we cannot be saying we don't have water and at the same time we are losing this percentage of water just to leaks and base in our city. That's my kind appeal to the finance department, so that at least the engineering department can be effective. Thank you.
Have we exhausted item 5?
I shall comment before the chairperson.
Okay. Are there any further comments?
Move the report, Your Worship.
Just before we move the report, I think the Deputy Mayor wants to speak, and I also, just before he speaks, want to raise one other issue that I meant to mention in my opening remarks today, but they are pertinent to here, regarding lawlessness. And that concerns the need for the police, if needs be the army, to assist us in stopping the illegal and rampant gold panning taking place in our water catchment areas. I'm deeply grateful to the government. You will have seen that this was discussed in Cabinet, I think last week, where government announced that they are going to take new measures to combat this. But we now need to see on the ground how that policy is going to be implemented. Because it doesn't matter how many new dams we build, it doesn't matter how much we rehabilitate our pumps and our distribution systems, if the rampant devastation being caused to our river systems is not stopped immediately, we simply are not going to get water into our dams. And everyone needs to take it seriously. And we need to see the deployment of the police, and if needs be, the armies into the Mzungwani catchment area, into the Nsiza catchment area, to the Ncema and Yankuni catchment areas, as a matter of urgency, before the start of this rainy season, so that is stopped, that illegal activity is stopped, so that whatever rain falls at least gets into our dams. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm the member of the Future Water Committee. First of all, I would like to appreciate yourself, Your Worship, and the other councillors, Special Councillor Mabutu and others, for understanding the dire situation we are in as a city in terms of water shortages. We are the ones as city fathers and mothers who should understand the dire situation we are in first, so that to disseminate this information to the residents of this great city. Yes, the other unfortunate thing is that as a future out committee, we sit a day before the full council. What we discussed yesterday shall be tabled before this committee next month. We discussed this issue of moving from 120 hours to 132 or to 144, and we all agreed that is just academic because we don't have water. Even if we are saying we are moving to 12 hours, after 12 hours we won't be having water. If we are saying we are moving to 240 hours, we won't be having water. The situation is that there is no water. So we said, let's not talk about moving from 120 to any other hours because definitely there is no water. So we appreciate your contribution. The government should assist. As the city currently, there is nothing we can do. The mayor have alluded to the fact that we requested 14 million issued to help us, especially in non-revenue water, the leaks and so forth. That liquid which we have is also being lost through the lakes. So that 14 million should cover part of that. So we appreciate you for understanding we don't have water in the city. And also the issue of Nyamandovo Aquifer, which was spoken about by Councillor Mazana, is up to the government to deploy the security forces there because there is a lot of vandalism. They are vandalizing the pipes, they are vandalizing the system there. So the government should also deploy security forces to go and guard the Nyamandovo Aquifer. And also about the Matopo and Nkulumani Nketa Aquifer, we spoke about it and the issue is being looked into, but definitely we need resources as well. Without resources, there is no way we can go. The issue of Jojo Tanks, Councillor Ndovu, we spoke about it. Currently, there is no policy prohibiting anyone from using the Jojo tank, but we have asked our technical team to craft a policy which do prohibit any resident from using that one, because definitely as a city we don't have water currently. So we also have complaints, even from my wife, in my Chovana there, they are saying that some people have Jojo tanks, and at the end of the day, other residents are failing to get water. So a policy is being crafted to that effect to make sure that we govern how Jojo tanks should be used. I thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Your Worship. Everything has been covered by Deputy Mayor as a member of the committee, but the committee has noted all the concerns and the contributions that were raised by the councillors. Are going to look at it. Thank you.
Can we move the report?
Move the report.
Would the Chair of Health and Housing move?
Your Worship, I hope that the report of Health and Housing and Education Committee meeting held on the 14th of August 2024 as submitted be received and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted.
Can we have a seconder, please? Thank you. Debate on that? Councillor?
Item 1B, Your Worship. Thank you very much. On waste management, education and investment, there is a situation by truck drivers along Main Street in the extension of 15, whereby that place is now used as a toilet, a bathroom room, everything is done there. And the residents around the area and the shops in there are complaining. I was happy in the previous meeting where the town planning director was talking about truck stops. But before they implement that, I think we must have a solution for that area at the present moment. Thank you all.
Thank you. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Item 1B also. If I may recall, Your Worship, you had the zeal when you came in last year. All of us had the zeal to change the face of Bulawayo. Yes. That's good. If I may quote some of your words and things, some of the the words that you spoke in some medias. It says that Bulawayo Mayor David Coltart implored the city to play its role in creating a clean environment, stressing that existing bylaws against littering be enforced. And he went on to say this, Your Worship, the city needs more litter bins and refuse vehicles. We need to make a priority for next year to buy sufficient refuse vehicles. And he went on again and said, we need to be protectors of our city. And then Sisa says this. Residents caught violating public nuisance bylaws, including littering, street cooking, and public urination, will face sport fine. Why am I saying this? That we lack as a city in enforcing bylaws.
Yes.
If we could enforce these laws, the city will change, especially on littering. And I like to say thumbs up to Harare for arresting about 360 people for littering. Someone would say, no, can't say that. But we start to well, you can say that. But I believe that prosecution is the best form of education. So those 360 were educated. That must not litter. In our Western areas, we need to enforce law, especially on littering. And so they ban litter, they store litter, especially izigubhu zamanjengu lani namapampa. We need also EMA to assist us on that, especially to enhance public awareness and education. I think if I can emphasize more on this, I would say, Your Worship, by tackling these challenges and working together, Bulawayo can reduce littering and solid waste, creating a cleaner and healthier environment for its citizens. I thank you, Your Worship.
Are we still on that item?
Yes, Your Worship. Just to amplify that, maybe in the next report, if you can have an indication of actually how many people were fined for littering, I think that would help us.
Have we exhausted 1C? Anyone else before we go to 1F with any earlier? Are you?
8.
You F?
8.
8.
Mine is 1E.
So you before. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship, fellow councillors. My contribution now relates to the vehicle situation. I think this one is cross-cutting. When you look at the number of vehicles which are being used by this department, there is a deficit, and of major concern is the number of vehicles that are broken down, that are in our workshops. Like I am saying, it's a cross-cutting issue. And as the audit team, we did a tour of all the 4 workshops for the city, and we were totally shocked to find that you would find that a truck is grounded simply because it needs just bolts and nuts. And for us, that was really something that we should not allow to happen. This is why, Your Worship, you earlier called upon the Department Finance Director and other committees to also work out a plan to ensure that we do not have these major trucks that are critical for service delivery out of the road for much of the town. So the downtown time ends up leading council to then source out. And when we source out, be it a refuse truck or maybe a plant, machinery equipment, because service must be provided. When you source out, council ends up paying maybe 6,000 or even close to 10,000 for this contracted company. So we are saying, let us revisit the way in which we come up with these requisitions, the procurement management unit. Yes, there is price. We know there is a lot of red tape there. But I believe as City Council, we cannot fail to come up with a mechanism to ensure that the downtime of these huge major trucks that are important for service delivery, such as carrying refuse trucks, is expedited.
Thank you. Very important point. Councillor.
Thank you, Chief. On one viable situation and our workshop, I'm so concerned on our workshop. As my fellow councillor, being my chairman for it, we're privileged to visit or to tour our workshop. We got a lot of vehicles there, and the defects or the mechanical fault, some of them are so minor. We got some information, why are these things here? Have you done the proper procedures? They agreed, yes, we've done everything. Papers are with, in the Office of Procurement Department. Then we say, all these delays, it's not because the procurement department are incompetent, but it is because of the process. For example, Your Worship, we got some, you remember last year, October, we commissioned brand new caterpillars in Pumla South. The brand new caterpillar in Pumla South is grounded. It's there in our workshop. The problem is hydraulic pipe, which is less than $200. You go at cleansing, you get a lot of one-ton truck which need to be serviced. How much is servicing a car? Buying diesel filter, oil filter, and oil, which is probably less than 200. Requisitions and orders have been raised. You go to FAR, you got some ambulances there, they need head gasket, which is less than 200. Therefore, my worship, I propose that the organization should actually have some petty cases reserved for this minor, which affect the service delivery. For example, in my ward, 2 or a month ago, I had a challenge of the sewer guys crying they don't have a truck. The truck is in the workshop. Bowser 790 had been in the workshop for more than 3 months for some nuts, only less than $100. That's not their problem. It's just the procedure at the procurement office. Okay. It takes so long. So I'm saying, Zoshi, I propose the organization to have petty cash reserved for those major, big, minor mechanical fault. Because we don't want a situation whereby now, as we speak, we received from a council group that our Bowser, which is services, the funeral is down since yesterday. and we don't know the problem. Maybe those are the answers as well. So we are saying, when that cash is there, please get it before for mechanical or for major things, not canteen. I think.
Right. I think we've exhausted item 1. Is there more debate on this report?
Yes.
Item
8.
8. Councillor Moyo, item. Anything before 8? Councillor, you have the floor.
Mine is a short one, Your Worship, on health promotion. Because I understand we run quite a number of programs on health promotion, even on skies. I've got a question, a small one. There's this outbreak of this monkeypox. The question which I have is that how prepared are we as a city? Have we started any awareness campaigns in regard to this monkeypox? Thank you.
Any further debate before I go to Councillor Moyo? You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Mine is item 26. From the Finance Department, we proposed that our schools are getting behind and we needed to allow them, authorize them to acquire buses, go to banks and acquire loans so that they purchase buses. The recommendation that I'm seeing here, we are being, it's almost impossible for a school to purchase a bus because we are saying they should raise the fees up to 60%. The reason why we're saying they should approach the banks is that maybe as council we don't have that funding. And secondly, we are saying the SDCs, they are a legal entity where parents convene, and if they agree that they should purchase a bus, there is a special levy that is paid by the parents, and the SDC together with the head, they approach the banks so that they can purchase a bus. So I move a motion that these stringent conditions that you have given, they should be, we should put them aside. And I move a motion that we are saying we are giving authority to the schools to purchase buses. They go to an institution, a financial institution. The financial institution is the one which then should be telling them the terms. Some of them, they are saying you can purchase these buses at 0% deposit. So let the terms and conditions come from the financial institutions. That is the motion that I'm moving.
So you're seeking to amend paragraph 2 of the resolution?
Yes, Your Worship. And
not,
also,
not through the deletion of the entire clause, but just to the provision that says subject to schools raising at least 60%.
Yes, I'm saying we should just give them the authority to approach the banks. Because some of these things, we are also saying they should then come back to council. While it's
I understand.
FDC is a legal person.
I understand. So what you're proposing, in effect, is the deletion of all the words after subject to the schools to the end of that paragraph.
Yes, specifically for purchasing of buses. I don't know, maybe with maybe construction or other things. But in the event that they default, a bus is the one that is the collateral. The bank simply repossesses the bus. Right. So we don't guarantee them anything.
Thank you, Councillor. I open it to the floor to discuss that. I'll come to you, Deputy Mayor.
I rise to second the motion proposed by Councillor Moyo, because when we discussed this issue as the Finance and Development Committee, we noted that though we run some of the biggest schools in the city, we are lagging behind in terms of development. In the case of buses, for example, we've got Mahlatini Primary School. In terms of enrollment, it is the biggest school in Bulawayo. And that school has been failing to get a bus because of the stringent requirements that we have as council. And therefore, our notable submissions as the committee was to say that if we are to require schools to have 60% deposit, 2/3 deposit of whatever they want to buy from their capital budget, we are increasing the financial burden to the schools, because out of the SDC fees, they have other things that they have to buy. For example, they have to buy teaching material, they have to buy affiliation, they have to actually pay affiliation fees to NAF, to BSPZ and other organizations. So this proposal, as it stands, it will increase the financial burden of our schools. But also, we are saying we need to actually reduce the gap between the schools in the ghetto in western suburbs and your Petras, your Masia Pambilis and so on. But we can't do that with this kind of a resolution, which requires these schools to first have 2/3 of the required capital expenditure that they must have. That is required by this particular resolutions. So we are saying we need to increase the quality of education in schools that are located in western suburbs. Lastly, Your Worship, this 0% deposit, financial institutions are approaching our headmasters, our SDC chairpersons, to say that we have got available funding at 0% deposit. And therefore, Tina as council, we are coming up with a resolution to say, let's say 60% first before we approach those financial institutions. I think it's quite unfair for our schools. So, at the end of the day, Your Worship, I think that it is our interest as council to improve the quality of education that we have in the learning environment for our learners across the board. There must be no difference between a child in Ganwini and County Park and a child learning in Selborne Park. And therefore, I support the resolution proposed by Councillor Moyo. I thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, you want to speak to this?
Yes, I do, Your Worship. Thank you so much. I stand before you, fellow councillors and Your Worship, to support the motion raised by Councillor Moyo. I am the former SDC chair myself, and I'm proud that we managed to buy a brand new bus for the school where I was the chairperson. What the banks require is that you open a bank account without any deposit, and they buy the brand new bus for you. And the bus, as alluded to earlier on, is the collateral itself. If you fail to pay, then that's when they repossess the bus without you paying anything. So we are saying, as the council, we should be enablers. We should make sure we enable the city to develop. We should enable our stakeholders to develop the city. We cannot develop the city on our own as the council, but we should be enablers. SDCs and schools are legal persona on their own. They've got the right to sue or to be sued. They've got the right to make decisions. So on top of what have been proposed, I also say the issue of scrutinizing the contracts which the schools would want to get into should not be brought to council. No one should scrutinize. On their own, they should make good decisions for the betterment of the schools. So I second the motion proposed that we repeal what have been proposed to us earlier on and use what have been proposed by Councillor M1. I thank you.
Before I turn to the chair to respond, can I have an indication from councillors that an amendment has been moved and seconded? Is there anyone in objection to that? Or does that reflect the broad sentiment of the House? So I take it that that amendment is moved. I will then turn to the chair to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors, for comments, contributions and concerns. I think mostly they were contributions. Then I would like to respond to Melissa, Councillor Maveza, your concern has been noted, and I think as a committee we are going to try something, and the issues of enforcement of bylaws will be looked into. And also I would plead to my dear councillors that if there's something of that sort, let's not wait for the council, the committee, anytime during the course of the month, so that proper actions can be taken. even due to some of the issues concerning littering, cleaning. I know we've got think tanks, we've got very brilliant ideas from the team of our councillors. So as a committee, we are open to receive any ideas, suggestions during the course of the month, so that some of them can be reviewed, digested during the committee meetings and implemented, so that during the council maybe you'll be uploading the committee for positive results. So that's my plea, Uti, during the course of the time, let's interact, engage, and empower each other as colleagues. Then the issue of vehicle situation, this one lies with other departments. There are issues of procurement. I think the engineering department is one of the responsible committees for repairs. But for us as a committee, this shows that in some areas we are failing to excel. We are crawling due to the effect of a shortage of these vehicles. Then there was, I think from Councillor Netta, that was a comment. So the issue of monkeypox, we are prepared as a city, we are ready. At the present moment, we are surveilling, we are doing even best surveillance and also surveilling Bulawayo border corridors. That is along Gwanda Road, the Princess Margaret Clinic, and the Northern Suburbs clinics. If ever such cases can be found, we are ready. Ethon Grove Hospital has been prepared for isolation of in case there is a breakout or there is any case of monkeypox. But so far there is nothing. But what I can say right now, Uti, as a city, we are prepared. We are ready. The infectious hospital, which is Ethon Grove, has been prepared for that exercise. Thank you. I think I have touched all the comments.
Chairman, Chairperson, may I ask you to address what both Councillor Netta and Councillor Nkomo said regarding our failure really to be arresting people who are breaching our littering bylaws, and the tabling in future of a report regarding how many people have been arrested. Could you address that briefly?
I think we have always, firstly and foremost, I would like to say we don't have arresting powers. And this question has been recurring during most of our council meeting. But fines have been given to some people. I think last council meeting, the issue was that we fined the number of people which we fined was supposed to be more than that what we did. I think it was around 17. But we explained that according to the law, the issue of evidence which is required in order to fine, it becomes very difficult, because if you say there is littering, maybe you find we used to say maybe if there is a water bill or anything with the address of that maybe household. But that is not evident enough to fine a person. Even if there is a picture which is sent, which is not a video, according to the law, that is not evident enough to fine a person. So the arresting powers and what is needed in order to give a ticket or a fine makes our hands tight as a committee.
Chair, I'm going to respond to you. I'm afraid I'm going to be a bit like a dog with a bone on this.
So engingakutsho maybe further ikokhona lokhu ukuthi siyazama ukuthi abantu laba babotshwe, kodwa okuyabe kufunakala ukuthi sibili isitshengiso sokuthi lo muntu uwonile. zuza amaphepha amabhizi ukuthi nanga akhona amaphepha amabhizi lana kuyathiwa umuntu uyala ukuthi ulahlile i-picture kuyathiwa is not enough maybe ngabe kuthiwa yi-video so umuntu ukuthi azahlangane lo muntu le ticket ngesikhathi elahla kube lo muntu ongamnika i-ticket is rare cases mina ngizahlangana la as a council ngimthetho kufanelanga lahle but I cannot arrest that person. Even a member of my department, but that person cannot just ticket that person. But you are making
Chair, I'm going to respond. I'm going to exercise my prerogative as mayor to educate the public about this. And I want to make the following, and I'm not speaking so much to you, Chair, as to the public.
Yes.
We all have citizens' rights of arrest. We can exercise that. We don't even have to be municipal police. Every person who sees a crime being committed has the power of arrest. You may not have the power to fine a person, but you have the power to arrest a person and to take them to the nearest police station. We will also find in my personal experience with Superintendent Ndlovu of the cleansing section, is that when you send him, for example, a photograph of a vehicle which is dumping, and it's a huge problem. Builders in particular are dumping building waste, and often people are able to get a photograph of the vehicle with the registration number. My own experience with Superintendent Ndlovu is that he acts on it immediately, and he has gone and he has fined those people dumping. But even people throwing litter, we mustn't be our own victims. We need to be proactive. We need to send that message out. We need to empower our municipal police, because what Councillor Neto says is absolutely correct. Our vision, it's not just my vision, our vision is to transform the city into the cleanest city in our nation. We're not going to do that if we make excuses. We all need to be proactive and exercise the powers. They may be limited powers, but we do have powers. We must exercise them. And we all need to be more vigorous. My comments are not directed against you, Chair. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Maybe in closing, I would like to appeal to the residents of Bulawayo. Let's desist from the culture of littering. This is not a Bulawayo culture. We never used to be like that. Let's maintain our city. Let's resuscitate that status of cleanliness. We are looking forward to a smart, transformative city by 2025. Thank you.
Can we move that report?
Move.
Thank you. Chair of Environmental Management and Engineering, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the report of the Environmental Management Engineering Service Committee meeting held on the 19th of August 2024 is submitted, be received, and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you. Debate on that.
Item 3.
Anyone before item 3? Item 3.
Ngiyabonga Nkosi. Ngizathanda ukuchayela izandla mhlawumbe i-department i-chairperson le committee yakhe ngendlela abasebenza ngayo kusuwa indlela abatshona begijigijima ngayo. Sinanzelela kakhulu ukuthi ama-pipes ethu asemadala. Sinanzelela kakhulu Nkosi ukuthi i-population isiyandile koBulawayo, akusafani lemuva ngale. Kodwa ke ngisithi mina, Your Worship, akube le ndlela zoku-addressa amasuwa abantu sebehleze engcekeze. Ngikhuluma ngisithi asibeni lo munye umthetho mhlawumbe singawufaka ama-reference numbers. Uyahamba umuntu entumbane oyalungisa we-engineering department ukuthola ama-reference numbers ayi-5. Afike attend ama-reference numbers akhe la. Eku-ground kube lamanye amasuwa akade engaka-report. Nxa isakhamizi simchweba baba we-city council laphana sokudukile ethi reference number hayi bengingelayo qalani ke report usechiya futhi abantu labana benjiyana ebuyele emuva emabuthweni ngambe ilanga lelo lisiyatshona lela kusasa lapho kuzaba le reference number imoto iphinde iphenduswe kusame location abantu laba baye behleze endaweni enjalo considering ukuthi amanzi kasilawo lapho ke bekungela nxa kulamanzi njengasentumbane izindlu leziyana eziphakathi kuma-3 rooms nxa ekututuma epompini lapha kubuya kuzongena espare amalokhuzi nakhona phansi uyabe ngasela amanzi asilawo amanzi ngala amanzi okuthi ebethela ukuthi mhlawumbe kube kusuka evrandini lapho kulabantwana so sithi lapha azabuyela khona imoto izibuyelele la yazafonele labana bamnika i-reference number bezi imota iyephendula kambe imuli naleyo sithi hlezi njani ngaleso sikhathi ngibona ngani kukhona okunye omele sikulungise Nkosi ngendabeni naleyo ngiyabonga.
Anyone else on 3? Are you on 3?
Yes.
I'll come
Thank
to
you,
you.
Your Worship. I want to start by acknowledging the good work that has been done by private contractors that were engaged to clear our sewer blockages. For instance, in my ward, there was a sewer hotspot and issues around that which had been obtaining for the past 10 months. And these contractors came in and they just dealt with it as if it was child's play. They dealt with it so clinically and prompted us in the same breath to actually amplify educational conversations with ratepayers about the things that were found in those sewage pipes, things like cutlery, your spoons, your knives, forks, some cups here and there, t-shirts and so on. While I am applauding the contractors, I think that was the wisest move we have taken so far in that department. While I'm applauding the contractors and the beautiful work that they did, in the same breath, they managed to expose the shortcomings in-house of the department, because where those contractors have not attended, where we are supposed to go as a department and address some of these challenges, we have been unresponsive and very slow. We have seen situations where sites are actually visited, nothing is done, and residents are told that we'll come back. And a week down the line, you'll find residents having to contend with water which is flowing back into bathrooms, and it becomes an inhabitable situation. It is my submission that these contractors have shown us how we need to operate in terms of work ethic. Let us copy the goods that they have been doing and show that we are the owners of the city and we are in fact not visitors to these sites like the contractors. We need clearly to up our game because there is a serious disparity in terms of work ethic, in terms of competence. From where I'm standing, it shows that the contractors are delivering better than our own engineers. I thank you.
Ngiyabonga Nkosi elithuba eliphiweyo lami ngikhona ukukhuluma ngesuwa. As my fellow councillor has already said, contractor uSouthway ngithanda ukuthi nami ngithathe leli thuba ngibabonge kakhulu ngomsebenzi omuhle abawenzileyo ewadini yami ikakhulu emakhokhoba lapho aba-athenda khona amasuwa. Kulezi indawo lapho kuphume khona ama-tablespoon ayi-50 inhlabathi egcwala ibhara. Umlando futhi ngithi ukithi thina as ama-city mothers and fathers to educate our community ukuthi kuyini imbangela yokuthi amasuwa ehlala namhla abalungisile kusasa blue. Silomlando ma-councillors asiconsulteni ama-resident ethu sibafundise okunye okuphuma khonapho kuyesabeka izingubo angazizingena njani kulamaphezi kulamaphampa okunye kuyayayisa kumele siba-engage sibabonise. I-council lathi kumele silangane halfway. I-council senza umsebenzi wabo lathi as residents lathi sisenza umsebenzi wethu. Ngibona ngani kuzasincedisa. Bese sithi ngesicelo esizinda leChabalala extension kunamasuwa esengwaripothe phose 2 weeks lakhathesi lokhu angalingiswa. Ngikhuluma kunje abantwana abahlezi edodini phakathi ezindlini. Angazi ukuthi sakuthiwe ngale esizinda leChabalala extension kabakho yini since lokho kungu-Ward 7 siyacela ukuthi besilungise. Ngiyabonga.
Still on item 3, any other? Item 3.
Kodwa isicelo sami laba abantu kade betshelwa ukuthi hambani kuma-hotspots lawa angu-2 especially emakhandleni ngakho bayenza ama-hotspot angu-2. Ngicela kwezinye indawo lapho abangafikanga khona ukuthi maybe si-expand kulezanindawo ngoba ngapha abayenze khona ngiyabonga kakhulu kodwa sambenini kulezami indawo ezingalizwanga. Isicelo sami engisicelayo. Ngiyabonga.
Sorry, yes, Councillor, you have the floor. Item 3, Councillor.
Bangalungisa kuyadubuka lapha okungalungiswa ngakhona labe lokuqhubeka kunjalo is ongoing. Ngilama branch amabili i-Oduveve leMafakela. iMafakela Nkosi kulabantu abahambayo lakathesi balefiye yokuthi kungenzakala futhi sehlakalo lesiyana ngoba amanye amapipe eyamanzi clean water la yesuwa iseduze lapho futhi iyabidubukile. Ngilesicelo Nkosi ukuthi ungane linganginanzelelela ama-branch la angu-2. Ngikhuluma kanje abantu baphakathi kwesuwa engayenziwe. Ngiyazama ukuripota lakathi sibebentshela ukuthi hayi kabakafiki asisakwazi ukuthi senze njani. And kunzima Nkosi alibana ngani ngikhuluma kanje lokubona. Sense saba lamo khulumisana lezakhamuzi ngoba ngingeke ngibenzele lutho. Ngiyacela Nkosi nginanzelele khona la.
Anything else on 3? Any further debate?
Move the report.
No. 21.
21. You have the floor, Councillor. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, His Worship. My concern is on section 21, which says Mabutweni Iminyela redevelopment. I'm happy there are efforts being done to develop Iminyela Mabutweni. My question, sir, is on, I can see the report. It has no time when they are intending to re-tendering on this development. You note, His Worship, this modern life or modern days, 4 families using 1 toilet is sympathetic. For example, we will say 1 family, it's 5 people, which is 20 people using 1 toilet. We are requesting you, Your Worship, to intervene on this issue of number 1. Thank you.
Any other debate before I ask the Chair to respond? Chair, will you respond, please? Particularly to the last issue.
Thank you, Your Worship. Okay. Firstly, kindly allow me to respond to the rest of other councillors who contributed. On the issue of contractors, Your Worship, you note that we've got only 4 contractors, and the speed at which they are moving, I'm not really happy at all, but they are doing quite well, of course. Then on the issue of toilets in Minyela, let me say, noted, Your Worship. But then I would like to also say to Director of Works and Water, they say when you are given some lemons, you have to try and make some lemonade out of it. We understand that we do not have money as the city council, but at times we have to think outside the box, Your Worship. We cannot wait for government to release the finances that may take long to come. So on this note, I'm saying, Director, please try and engage some private partners, like what my learned colleague, Councillor Mpome, always said. Thank you very much, Your Worship.
No.
The Chair, Townlands and Planning Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the report of the Townlands and Planning Committee meeting held on the 20th of August as submitted be received and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted. Thanks.
Is there a seconder?
Yes.
Thank you. Debate? Is there any debate? Report is moved. You're obviously all hungry.
General purpose.
I move the report of the General Purposes Committee.
I second with amendment, Your Worship. My name should be put there under apologies. It's not appearing.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there any debate? The report is moved.
No.
Oh, you've got it. No. Councillor, you have the floor. Councillor, what clause do you wish to debate?
Siyabonga Nkosi. Ngihamba ku-item 5. Sikhangela indaba lezi ezeve inkosi. Ngifuna ukuthi sazise izakhamizi zakoBulawayo ukubana kulo daba abakhuluma ngayo ole water utility ukuthi thina singuBulawayo sikubeke eceleni siza kukhangela nxa amanzi esekhona koBulawayo. Asonto abangahlukumezeka ngayo bangasinika amacebo lembono okwakhathesi hayi sibeke eceleni indaba ye water utility.
Is there any debate on that issue? No, I need to respond to that. There are a few misconceptions regarding what has been resolved in particular, and it might not be directly, but it is important that I use this opportunity to speak to the public. There is absolutely no intention to privatize Bulawayo's water authority. That needs to be absolutely clear, and we will make that very clear in the weeks that lie ahead, but that needs to be clarified. But beyond that, I have no further debate. Can we move the report?
Yes.
Finance.
Chair of Finance, would you move your report, please?
Thank you, Worship. I move that the report of the Finance and Development Committee meeting held on the 27th of August 2024 is submitted and received and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted.
Is there a seconder? Thank you. Any debate? The report is moved. Debate, sir. No. No. You have the floor, please.
It's on item 8, worship. I won't take long. Your worship, it seems as if the issue of billing keeps on resurfacing. Just recently, I got some residents coming to my office. You know, one resident in June, at a date of about $63, of which she had paid $20 the same month. And in July, the water billing rose from $63 minus 40, which she had paid, to $1,125. And it's a serious concern. I just picked one out of the many reasons that I've met. My problem is that we've talked about this issue now. It's more than a year. We keep coming here with the same issue. It's not like we are fighting anyone, but we're just asking the department to rectify whatever it is that is affecting their department. Because this is mostly affecting those people who have been paying consistently. And we cannot keep coming here with the same issue without it being rectified. So my request is that may this be looked into, and we should by now have dealt with this issue so that at least we can progress and look into other issues. That's my contribution on that.
Thank you, Councillor. Before I refer to the chairman, let me use this opportunity to report on a meeting I have had since our last meeting with the Director for Finance, and to acknowledge the good work done by Finance in this regard. It's now been demonstrated to me that the electronic system is functional, whereby every ratepayer can now, through the website, access their account. We have yet to publicize this. We need to publicize this more widely so that all residents, but it is a key first step in addressing this issue of billing. People now, from their cell phones, from their computers, can access their accounts to check their accounts electronically. And it has been demonstrated to me that all the accounts that have been raised and payments are reflected in the system. And that's a very important first step. But clearly, your point has validity, and we need to ensure that we've got an efficient system whereby people, once they've checked their accounts, if there are anomalies, that there's a clearly demarcated system in terms of which they can then raise that query and have them resolved. But unless there's further debate on this, I refer to the chair to respond.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. We'd like to take your applaud seriously. As finance, you are working hard to transform our operations. And we are working hard in collecting revenue. As you have seen, the roads are now, we are now resurfacing the effort of the finance that is being put there. And the concern that arises of billing issues. The billing issue emanates from that we have got meter readers are inadequate, but processes are underway with the Department of Engineering to make sure that we automate our meters so that even when we are our management are there in their offices, that information reaches them monthly and timeless, so that we eliminate the issue of meter readings that are erroneous because we don't have people on the ground taking those meter readings monthly. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. Can we move the report?
Move.
I call for notices regarding leave. I'll start with myself. I have been invited by the governor of Nairobi in Kenya. They call mayors governors, to attend a meeting which I will be attending at our next council meeting, first week of October. So I give notice of that. Are there any other notices, Councillor?
Yes, Your Worship. I will be traveling for a week outside the country in SA. Tomorrow.
Travel safely, Councillor. Councillor Moyo?
Thank you very much. Maybe if I take this opportunity to say one or two things before I have
You have the floor.
I think maybe from the bottom of my heart, I would like to appreciate and thank the City of Bulawayo for personal engagement for the support you gave me. But there was some I shouted to a certain country.
You were in a government hotel at government expense.
Thank you so much for your support. Another thing wanting to residents from Kulumani and Zimbabwe at large for the support. It was not an easy experience, but your support kept me moving. There are times where we thought of giving up because the experience was not easy. It was very tough, but I had to fight every day so that we come out alive. So thank you so much for the support, people of Bulawayo, Zimbabweans at large. Our crime has always been the desire to see a Zimbabwe which gives us opportunities as young people. So yes, we cannot. We cannot.
Please respect his right. I've given him the floor, but do wind up, Councillor.
We cannot feel like foreigners in our own country, you see. So, but anyway, it's part of the struggle. But thank you so much. I'll apply for my leave for 2 weeks. I'm not feeling well. I think I need to be assisted medically. So I hope this council will understand. But from the bottom of my heart, thank to everyone who prayed for me and supported my family. It was not an easy experience. I got to learn some of the events which my family came through whilst I was in prison. So it was not an easy experience, but I believe in God and that things will be okay very soon, and we'll be back in this council to discuss how better we can add our wisdom to uplift the lives of the people of Bulawayo. Thank you so much.
Councillor, we missed your youthful energy, and I know that you go with our prayers for a full recovery after your ordeal. Are there any other notices? Our meeting is over. We adjourn. Thank you.